Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode number 401 for May 25th, 2016. I'm Allyn Malventano.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Sebastian Peak.
Yes, we have secretly replaced Ryan Shrout with Sebastian Peak, reporting remotely from a basement somewhere.
I'm upstairs.
Oh, okay.
They don't let you upstairs.
He's moving on up.
You're not real people.
Look, she doesn't know yet. The door is closed. Leave me alone.
Okay.
Ryan is not here because he is currently on his way to the North Pole. It looks like.
I think he's over the North Pole.
Santa.
Yeah, he's going to bribe Santa.
Look, he's made a rainbow.
And then he's on his way to what the heck is
Incheon.
Rickus Snicken.
Incheon, Republic of South
He's
Korea.
going to the airport you fly to every
Is
year.
that the airport code for Incheon?
God, I would look over to the right.
No, I see
Starting
the right,
point,
but
Detroit.
I was looking on the left at what looked like an
But
airport
look at
code.
the right.
Wait, why does
Tells you.
Detroit start with a K? That's not right.
Detroit,
It's in
Metro Wayne
Comerica.
County.
Oh,
It's
it's
Incheon
like Kalamazoo.
International.
Kalamazoo, Detroit, the winner.
Oh, that's what it's doing. It's combining two codes together on the.
To make stormy weather.
Why did he fly to Kalamazoo and then to Detroit? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a heck of a way to go out of the way for a connecting flight. But
I don't think he did.
Yeah, he took a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah.
He
basically,
went Cincinnati to Detroit and Detroit to... Anyway.
yep. So, yeah, Ryan's on his way to an event to go cover some stuff. Reporting live from somewhere, maybe. Who knows?
Probably not.
I'm sure he will have more to talk about on it next week, or maybe even the week after.
Yeah, he's not going to be back next week.
He's
He's gone
not, yeah.
for like 10 days.
Yeah, he's gone to like Thursday or Friday or something.
What a loser.
Well, you
Yep.
know, he's just going to party it up and sing a bunch of karaoke or something. So, everybody, welcome to the podcast, Weekly PC Perspective Podcast. You can email us about your papers. God, that's a long old joke.
Really.
At podcast@pcper.com. You can check out all the show notes and follow all the podcasts at pcper.com/podcast. We have RSS feeds. We have a bunch of links there. You know, you can like subscribe to it on iTunes and stuff. Any podcatcher thing you happen to have. Twitter.com/pcper is where we will usually post about the stuff that went up on the site, or you can just go straight to the site, pcper.com.
Or make Ryan happy and follow him because he retweets stuff from the site and he'll give him more followers.
That's true. That's true. And he also
doesn't
talks.
need more
He also talks about dogs and kids on his Twitter
Okay, sports.
and sports.
Yeah.
Yes. That's about it. If you want to know when we're about to do live shows, like recently we did that NVIDIA stream with Tom Peterson, which was pretty cool. Or this very podcast right here. We have a mailing list. That's the only thing we send out on it, is just a blast to say, hey, we're about to stream on such and such a time and a date. If it's like a really cool or important one coming up, we might give you more than the 10 or 15 minutes heads up. I assume Ryan from the airplane sent out the one for this show.
No, I sent it out.
Oh, you sent it out.
Don't give Ryan credit for things I do.
Well, I don't know. He was in the show notes, so I figured, like, you know, from the airplane he's in the show notes. Or wait, that was you in the show notes from the
No, that
How
was
can he
him.
have internet over the North Pole?
Satellites.
Because, you know,
Santa-like.
Listen, Santa's got kick-ass Wi-Fi. All right?
You know that
Think
router
about
you
it.
didn't get for Christmas last year?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's up there.
That's where it is. He's using it.
In fact, he has like 100 of them all bridged together.
Yeah.
The kids won't need all these. Just like every 10 feet, he's got another access point. It's pretty funny. Also, hey, we're on Patreon. It's how we keep, like, the bills paid and stuff.
At least some of them.
At least some of them, yeah. We stopped paying Ken, so he left.
Yeah, Ken left. Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Likely story.
Even though he's right here. Even though he left, we still can't get rid of him.
No, we just fixed the glitch.
Oh, yeah. And now he's in...
He's
now
not getting a paycheck anymore, but, you know,
but we don't
the
have...
rest will just sort itself out.
But we don't have a basement here.
You know what? Ryan and I never discussed
What?
If I'm getting paid or not for this.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I think that answers your question.
I'm the wrong guy to do.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy, so I can't talk about that.
Man,
Mark it down.
Soda.
I must
See,
like
per
you guys a
podcast,
lot.
Yeah,
Uncomfortable moments.
yeah.
See, but now that I put out in the universe, everyone's gonna be like, "You gotta pay Ken, right?"
Yeah, basically. That Brian's just gonna get like a just shitstorm of tweets as soon as he
Keep that
lands.
hope alive, Ken.
If you want Ken to be paid, contribute to the Patreon during this podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
We won't read your amount on air because we
No,
don't
no,
have
no.
access to that.
Yeah, I
but
don't have. I can't read the names on air unless Ryan somehow passes them to me.
Just add a note about paying Ken, and then we'll be good.
Yeah. There you go.
Hashtag PayKen on Twitter.
Make Ken great again.
Whoa.
Ken's already
I wouldn't go that far.
No. Do not. Do not make Ken great again. All right, well, I guess let's get to it. Weekend review. First up, Gigabyte X99 PSLI. Oh, we don't have Mori. Darn. Well, this is one of those newer version X99 boards that came out with the new Intel CPU launch that's coming and stuff.
I don't think this is.
Well, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not ridiculous. I mean, it's got a DisplayPort in so that you can use it for Thunderbolt.
Okay.
Not something you've seen before too much.
Does it have Thunderbolt 3 on it?
This is, from what I'm reading this year, that's what that DisplayPort in is for. But it's also got like a Type C USB 3.1. So
Okay, this is
You
a
can
pretty
fake
new
it that
board
way.
then.
So how does that work? Do you have to like hook the DisplayPort around, or does it just built in?
it's built into the backplate. That DisplayPort there is underneath the USB 3s.
Right.
Yeah, so that's an in.
Oh, okay. I get it. So you just need like a. Does it come with the cable though? Because you need kind of a short cable for that, right?
Yeah, I think it comes to the little patch cable.
So that's cool. Basically, you have your regular GPU in there, and then you take one of your display ports and you pass it through the. It's kind of weird that it goes out, then back into the motherboard, then back out of the. Back out of the Thunderbolt connector. Interesting.
But that's what she does.
Huh. Did he test that? I don't know if he's got the stuff to test that, actually.
No, I don't think he's got the stuff to test.
I
that.
don't think like any Thunderbolt 3 devices exist currently.
Yeah.
I think there might be like a couple of external drives, but obviously those won't
Well,
do anything with display output.
it's a chicken and the egg thing then, right? Like, somebody's got to do the thing first,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Apple hasn't put it on a laptop yet, so.
Yeah, even that's like...
But once
So that means they don't make a display that would do it,
yeah,
right?
like they'll make a small subset of adapters that everyone else can use, but like until they do that, it seems like there'll be less
Yeah.
because they're the only ones that seem to ever support Thunderbolt.
It's got a M.2 on board. I like that they're not doing the vertical M.2 and actually just laying it between the PCI slots, because like we have a couple of the Asus boards here, even like the newer version of the X99 Pro.
The
Gen 2
card's
or
a little
whatever.
more erect.
Well, yeah, it's like on the edge of the... I mean, I guess as long as you're never going inside your case for anything, it's just worry you'd snap the M.2
Yeah.
SSD in half if you caught it on something and broke the bracket.
It's not a lot of boardroom on these things.
That's
No,
true,
there's
but
not.
even the ones that don't have a lot of boardroom usually have like a space between a couple of PCI slots where they could just... Like, that just be the standard location for it. Extra power.
Yep.
Extra power. Interesting. Oh, of course.
Reinforced slots.
A shot of the reinforced CMOS battery next to the reinforced PCI slot.
You wouldn't want to shear that battery off.
No. Pretty good SATA connectivity there.
Notice on that one how close the DIMM slots are to the top PCIe. One scroll up.
Yep.
Like, it's that close. So if you've got fancy heat sinks, you don't want a backplate on that GPU.
Yeah.
That's true. It does have those like single-sided DIMM slots where you only have like the lever on one side, it looks like.
Yeah.
But you still don't, you're right, you don't want any overhang at all.
Yeah, and as money shot with a giant cooler, I would say it's actually the cooler is about level with the Vengeance LPX that you put in there.
Let's look for the CPU cooler fit.
Let's look for the D15 shot. There we go.
As Maury busts out the
Bust out the D.
the lawnmower engine sized.
That's like a tractor engine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they fit.
It seems to fit.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Look how
but it
close
does
to the
fit.
ram.
Those are standard, like Corsair Vengeance modules, nothing too fancy. But
Yeah. You obviously cannot go any
those
faster.
are LPX. Those are not standard. Those are low.
those are the
profile.
higher ones.
Those are the low profile ones.
No, those are low profile guys.
Oh.
Low profile
Okay.
extreme.
All right.
So extreme.
So excite.
Okay, so I mean, just another X99 board. It will probably have have to have like an update for the new Intel stuff coming out that we keep hearing all the rumors about.
The inevitable Intel stuff.
The inevitable Intel additional CPUs.
What does motherboard cost?
I don't know. I gotta find. Oh, there's that cable.
Just go to the last page and see.
Wait,
She was 189.
It's one if you have a mini DisplayPort on your graphics card, and then the other if you have full size DisplayPort.
Yep. I like that they included both because my graphics card actually has only mini DisplayPort on it.
That could just be a handy little patch cable to have around, to be honest.
That is true.
But yeah, you're going to spend $250 on this guy.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's not too bad for
It's
an
not
X99
ridiculous.
board.
No, it's middle of the road, really.
Yeah.
How many M.2 slots does this one have? Just one?
Oh no.
They have a $20 mail-in rebate. Well, so anything that's like X99, chances are it's only going to have a single M.2 because it does not do RAID.
Oh.
X99 does not do RST.
Well, it
So what was
doesn't,
that triple
doesn't do hardware RAID. It can
M.2
do
gigabyte
software
board at
RAID.
the office?
You can do software RAID, but you can't boot from it.
Eh.
Oh, that's... Oh.
That was
Yep.
Z170, Sebastian.
Yeah, Z170.
Oh, was he 170? Okay.
Yep.
I thought that was X99 for some reason.
Nope.
Nope. The storage test bed is an X99 board, but I had to use a different... who made that board? Gigabyte? Ken? Remember that board?
With the...
Triple M.2?
Yeah, that's a Gigabyte Z170 SoC Force, I think.
Yep. Yeah, it's a pretty snazzy board. Okay, well.
Super.
Good enough for that one. Next up. Oh, hey, it's me. Hey, there's another RevoDrive came out. Those things been coming out for a long time now.
Well, and then not.
And then not for a long time. And then kinda. It wasn't that long ago the 350 came out. That was shortly after... What? No, that was a thing. That was shortly after OCC got bought by Toshiba, and then they remade the RevoDrive with Toshiba Flash on it.
Yeah, but that's been quite a few years.
It's been like, what, a couple?
September 2014, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's not... Yeah, a couple of years. I know it was shortly after. They basically redid their whole everything that they had with Toshiba Flash, because that's where they were getting their Flash, obviously. So it's been a while again, but they decided to come out with another RevoDrive. And this time it's a lot smaller, M.2. You can get it M.2 or with an add-in card, and it's just like separate SKUs. So it's not a matter of like having to find an adapter card if you need one. You just buy the one with the adapter card. That runs $20 more than the equivalent without. Which is about how much those adapter cards cost. So...
how coincidental.
How coincidental. Yeah. So they're not gouging on it or anything like that. So that's good. The specs look pretty similar to the specs of a 950 Pro. And in some cases, the specs are actually higher. Now, of course, we tested that. So let me jump
Wait,
to...
we tested the performance? We just didn't go off the specs?
Yeah, we test stuff.
Huh.
Yeah.
So actually here's the drive, and sorry for the horrible looking lighting in the picture, but this was one of those things where the sticker filled in all the gaps on the lettering of the parts. So when you peel the sticker off, everything is just like all black. You can't read anything. Anyway.
Until you flash it.
Until you hit it with like a flashlight at a really weird angle. So I read all these part numbers off all these chips and did some Googling around, and it turns out that this is basically what looks to be the same all the way down to the PCB layout of the Toshiba, I believe it's an XG3. might be saying, yep,
Yeah,
XG3.
when you said that the other day in the chat, I had read that morning an article on, I think, ComputerBase in Germany that said exactly the same thing. It was like, this is the XG3 rebranded.
Yeah. And I think it looks the same performance-wise, although I didn't want to like match every single benchmark that, in this case, the SSD review did. But I borrowed their shot of their Atto run, and I just replicated what they did with their settings on our test bed. And those Atto runs look pretty much like a mirror image of each other.
Kind of like a certain Western Digital external hard drive and a certain HE8 drive from a little while back.
Yeah. Remember that? Yeah. So, with that out of the way, we got to testing, because we hadn't tested an XG3, because I'm not sure if we had a laptop come through here that had it in it. We just didn't happen to remove it and test it.
That's like a...
What?
I've never seen a Toshiba, like, I've never seen one of those in a laptop before. Like,
That's where SSD Review got theirs. It came in the Dell something or another.
Yeah.
You know, it was in some laptop. And I mean, we've tested stuff that same way. I think we tested one of the Samsung, like SM951 or something.
Yeah.
Just happened to come in like...
That's how we got the original SM9051.
Yep. We're like, hey, it's in this laptop. So, going through testing, sequentials looked pretty good. There were some inconsistencies during sequential writes specifically, and it kind of didn't agree with HDTune. I'm kind of trying to get away from all of these just like off-the-shelf tests and replace everything with my own, but I'm not there yet. So for now, I kind of have to deal with, well, you know, if this drive works funky with this test, well, I'll just note that it didn't look, you know, perfect. So that way, if anybody runs the test themselves, then they can go, hey, it's doing this. And if they look at our review, then, you know, they'll see like they did the same thing as them. All right, file copy test. So file creations, pretty good speeds. Nothing really bad like what happened with, I'll just say it here, like the previous two OCZ releases. So I was happy to see an SSD not like just stalling for several seconds at a time. That was pretty good. So as a result, speeds were pretty good. File copy test, also pretty fast. Everything looked pretty in line with like a 950 Pro or even a Intel SSD 750. Let me skip to... Next up. So the iometer stuff. Here we started to see some weirdness. Now, the way that we did this test, this is the old iometer tests, which are kind of being phased out and replaced with the latency percentile stuff. But for now, they still kind of have their purpose. Because if you see that white line there, which is the RD400, it just takes like a nosedive at QDEF 128. And then it comes right back up. And then if you look at another one of these charts, well, this one is a web server, which is nothing but reads. So if I go back to another one that has some writes in it, oh, this one just took a dip at QDEP 64 out of nowhere. And then came back up. And then here's another one. Took a dip at QDEP 4 and QDEP 64. Now, upon further testing, if I redid this test, the dips would just be in different places. So then I started to look into things a little bit further and say, hey, what's going on here? Why is this thing, just intermittently slowing down? Right? Again, not as bad as the previous two releases.
Because the gerbils running in the wheel just need a water break.
Kinda. Okay, so here is the culprit. So down here, if you look at the just what Task Manager showed while doing this test, writes are going at decent speed, kind of just toggling up and down just a slight bit, and then it just takes a nosedive down to like 100 meg per second, and then goes back up for another about 10 seconds, and then takes another dip. And this happened regardless of how much or how hard you were writing, but it got worse as you put more load on the drive, as you can see in the latency percentile stuff here. So you can see up to about like somewhere around 63% or so of all of the IOs were reasonably quick. They were actually quick or faster than a 950 Pro, as a matter of fact. However, the rest of those IOs were all the way over here in the 10 to 100 millisecond range, which is actually like a little worse than what a hard drive would look like if it was on this plot, which is not good, right? It probably wouldn't be that noticeable, since it doesn't slow down to a complete halt like the other drives, the previous drives did. So obviously Toshiba is doing something with that firmware on that controller to try to make this a little bit better. But there still seems to be some kind of an issue they need to work out. And if you wanted to compare that to what a 950 Pro looks like, that's this guy right here, and it still does have like what's called a tail latency to it, but it does its best to get the least amount of those IOs to be slow, right? So it's definitely brings itself up to that 10 millisecond mark pretty quickly. And of course, if you're doing QDEF1, which Samsung just loves, is their QDEF1 performance, that's basically a vertical line, straight up to damn near 100%. Which means that as long as you're not loading it that much, it's just going to fly. Basically, everything is going to be as fast as possible. And if you go back to the RD400, even at QDEF1, it still had like about 8% of its IOs going all the way out to that hard drive speed area. So just something up with that firmware. Maybe they're doing some kind of flash management that's just like taking its time. Because if you notice, like that where that shelf is there, it's like decoupled with how much load you have on it, right? Like the load kind of shifts the latency over to the right as it should, but then it just has this shelf and it goes all the way over to like around 60 milliseconds. It's just weird. Anyway, latency percentile stuff, like we revamped a whole bunch of it. I did detailed plots for like every single SSD in the comparison here. So you can look at other cool SSDs, like what an Intel SSD 750 looks like on latency, which is actually even better than 950 Pro when it comes to writes. And you can see the bad example of an SSD, which is the Plextor M6E. And it doesn't matter what QDEF you're writing to it. It's just kind of like, yep, some of the IOs are fast, like maybe 10% of them or so, and then like 90% of them are hard drive speed or slower. In this case, you got about 20% of those IO, or 20% of the time taken by latencies that are in the 1 second range, which is worse.
That's bad.
Yeah, that's worse than hard drives. That's really bad. So
SSD's got lag.
Yeah, and I'm gonna skip to the thing that's different about this testing this time, just worth noting, is this is what this plot used to look like with the way that we used to make these plots, and I redid them. Because if you had an SSD that, say it did like 1 million IOPS, but like 5 IOs out of the million were like 1 second long. Well, the way the weighting used to be in these tables used to work the same way that the industry does the weighting on any kind of latency specs, or like quality of service specs. It's always like a percent of all the IOs, like it's weighted by IO. Well, if 5 of them are really dog slow out of 1 million, you're just not even going to see the 5 on a plot. So all of the data from this review like is sitting there on this plot. Here, Ken, switch to it real quick. It's on the plot here. You can see everything's kind of looks. These actually look pretty good. And if you go over here to the other plot, this one is weighted by the time those IOs took, as opposed to the IOs like individually weighted. So if you have an SSD that takes 20 seconds out of 100 seconds, like doing really, slow IOs, it'll show as 20% on that plot. Whereas 20% of really slow IOs is actually only like a fraction of a percent of the IOs themselves on an SSD. So just interesting geeky ways for me to manipulate data and try to come up with like, showing why these things are slow and how and whatnot. Anyway, getting on to the final stuff here. So performance, despite like the intermittent slowdown thing, as long as you don't load this down with heavy writes, you're not going to see that, because if you go through the review and you look at the latency percentiles for anything that had to do with reads, regardless of how heavy those were, it looked basically like a 950 Pro. So it's kind of Achilles heel is like the write stuff, like heavy writing.
Why'd you buy a PCIe SSD to do heavy writing?
Well, I mean, some people honestly don't. right? They're just building a gaming system. They're probably not gonna like the only time they're writing to it really is like when they have a Steam download going.
Then they should probably buy a SATA SSD.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing, though. OCC does kind of have an edge on Samsung right now in that this is the first M.2 NVMe SSD that's in 1 terabyte capacity shipping.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Samsung's 950 Pro is not shipping in a 1 terabyte capacity yet, even though they've been talking about it for a year now. Their shift to 48-layer VNAND is supposed to let them be able to package and ship one. They just, for whatever reason, are not doing it yet. So maybe this will give Samsung a kick in the butt, and then they'll have to start shipping theirs. But until then, the pricing comes in for the 256 and the 512 gig. I checked this yesterday, and it was like $8 to $10 cheaper than a 950 Pro of the same capacity. So $190 for 256 gig, $330 for half a terabyte with the add-in card, and you can knock $20 off of those if you don't want the add-in card. The one thing I saw also that I didn't like was that if you look at the cost per gig, as you get up to 1 terabyte, it's like they know they're the only guy shipping 1 terabyte, and they're taking advantage of it. So this is the first time in a while I've seen like the higher capacity or the highest capacity of something go back up in cost per gig. Lately, everything is just kind of leveled out, right? Like once you get to the high end, it's like the same cost per gig or maybe like a cent or two higher. So they jump up to $760 for their 1 terabyte. You could save $20 again, make it $740, but that's still 72 cents a gig, which is pretty high. But 61 cents a gig for the half a terabyte doesn't look that bad if you absolutely want M.2. But Ken's right though. As far as the SATA SSD, because even the SATA SSD write results, you might not be writing at like a gig per second or more. However, the 850 Pro, of which there is results in the latency percentile in the review, its latency percentile plots looked like amazing. Like that thing, it was just like almost the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the minimal number of IOs possible were taking any amount of time. Like it was just like everything go as fast as possible with that drive.
Yeah.
So it almost made like M.2 stuff look like it still needed to catch up. Even the 950 Pro didn't look as good as the 850 Evo in those plots. But you have to remember that 850 Evo was, of course, going slower, right? So it's kind of easier if you don't have to go super, super fast to make things less latent.
And I think I saw this week they announced a 500 gig SSD 750, the Samsung 750.
They did. That like just came out. They just sent me the news on that, actually. I got to write that up. But hey.
I think it was this morning they announced that.
I think it might have been. It was pretty recent. I remember emailing the back. I'm like, not yet. I'll post on it soon. Usually they give us more heads up on that, but they didn't. I didn't get the blast until like it was announced. So
plenty of options in the SSD space.
That's true.
Good to see more NVMe drives, more M.2 NVMe drives. We're getting a little tired of just seeing Samsung.
That's true also. Samsung needs competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
This price is pretty good.
Yeah.
The price is pretty good. Remember, it's similar to the 950 Pro.
Yeah, it's like $50 less because those are selling for about $170, $180 right now.
Wait.
For the 256.
Did you say it was... Dude, it was like $10 difference.
Oh, I thought it was like $120 for the 256.
I don't know. You might want to double check because it was like they're very close.
Okay.
And, yep. Anyway. Next. What do we got? News. InWin 303 mid tower. Wait a minute. 303. Is this like a variant of something they already had? Because it sounds familiar.
They have similar, like, this is new. It's a new enclosure. It's similar to, I want to say it was like the 809. There was something last year or the year before. We saw it at CES. This idea of a very simple enclosure that's more affordable and has tempered glass side panel. And this has very understated lighting on the front of it. It's got an LED, but it's like one color, and it's very soft. They have an
LCD
name for it. An LED, like a light, a backlight. It's not RGB. What is this name for it? I gotta look this up. It was kind of funny.
Well, it almost looks like that's a screen. Is that a screen, or is that just the thing that says InWin?
It's just the thing that says Inwin. There's a light behind it. They call it radiant luminosity. It sounds like a Japanese RPG on like the 3DS. The Inwin logo is highlighted neon, as well as the lucent stripped I/O front panel. These gorgeous LEDs also have the purpose of indicating when the PC is activated.
Oh,
So apparently all the front I/O has like a little light around it, which is cool. If it's a really soft glow, that would help you find stuff in a dark room, but
you can kind of
pick that out too.
Yeah, you can kind of pick that out. It's like there's like a plastic diffuser, kind of between the ports and the front of the case.
And they give you the option when you order this of getting a closed panel that has thumb screws that's aluminum, I think, or tempered glass. But the tempered glass one, I want to see this case in person. I want to get them to send one for review because the glass side panel requires absolutely no tools. Apparently there's just like a handle that disengages it and then the whole thing just comes off.
Like it's magnetic or something?
It might be. It's either that or some sort of a lever that pulls it away.
My only concern is kids.
I don't have kids.
Yeah,
well, I know.
This issue.
But like, I don't have kids in my house either. But like, there's far people that are gamers that have kids.
Nah.
So it's like,
how would they have time to play video games if they have children?
well, they just ignore them.
Oh, okay.
The thing about this case, though, that I need to look again tonight because they had not yet. I don't know. It's not till the 27th, I think. There's no pricing, or there wasn't any pricing when I posted this. And they're making this out of steel. And the last sort of affordable high-end case they came out with was around $180. So I'm hoping this is going to be somewhere around $100. If it hits that target, this could be a really attractive competitor to some of those kind of like affordable luxury cases, like the beginnings of the Corsair, like Obsidian line, or some of the other higher end cases out there. But it would be easily the most affordable, nice in-win case. But we shall see. But I don't know. It looks nice. I think pricing will probably come out just around Computex or just after. So sort of a pre-announcement.
All right, cool. What do we got up next? We got
Eggs, bacon.
Oh, NVIDIA drivers. So let's see. NVIDIA drivers. Scott talked about this. He brought it up specifically and posted about it because you can't use this new NVIDIA driver or newer on which version of Windows?
Vista.
Oh, Vista. Okay. Well, then that's not, yeah. If you're still on Vista and you're using like a brand new NVIDIA GPU,
you've got problems.
Yeah, you got a lot of problems.
You're on the wrong OS. I think it's time to depreciate stuff for Vista.
Upgrade to Windows 7. I hear it's nice.
Yeah. Or I wonder if Vista users were also getting the GWX stuff. To get Windows.
Probably.
It's probably harassing the crap out of them too.
Yeah.
It came in a security roll-up.
Oh, yeah. Because if you're still on Vista, you're probably playing with fire anyway. So Wickle drivers, and then what was it? Overwatch, I think.
Yep.
They added.
Because there's not been very many new games in the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, they kind of
want to update drivers for.
They rapid fired a couple there. There was one for Doom.
Yeah.
And then it was like not even a week, I think, and then this one came out. So that's cool. I'm not playing Overwatch, but I am playing the crap out of some Doom.
Yeah, I need to get that.
It's it's fun.
By the way, that case, I looked it up. It is on Newegg for pre-order. The 303 is $89.99.
What?
$89.99
for an in-win case with a tempered glass side.
That's pretty cool.
That's yeah.
Because it's a tempered glass version they have. They don't have the solid side panel.
And that's a full case. It's like a full tower case.
It's a mid-tower.
It's a mid-tower, sorry. I'm so used to all this micro
It supports ATX. It does not support eATX.
Yeah, but it supports like, ATX is like big nowadays.
Ooh.
And it is
You
nice.
know what I mean? Like, I don't mean big like popular. I mean like compared to all the smaller stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Size matters not.
So there were NVIDIA drivers, and there also were AMD drivers. Crimson 1653 came out also for Overwatch. And I don't know if this one was also for Warhammer.
And Dota 2.
Oh, Dota 2 with Vulkan.
API.
Is that patch out yet?
I guess.
Is that a new
I don't
character
know.
in that game?
Well,
Yes.
the Vulkan patch for Doom is not out.
Yeah.
It's they worked with the guys at Star Trek Online to come up with the Vulcan API character for Dota 2.
No.
It's a mod on top of Star Trek Online, just like Dota was originally a mod on top of Warcraft.
It's a crossover.
A good question in the chat. Why would Dota 2 need Vulkan?
Well, yeah,
that is a
I was
good
about
question.
to ask that.
No, it's
What?
It's
Is it taxing?
Well, no, but Dota 2 is one of the most popular games that exists. So if you can run on even lower end hardware,
Oh, I guess.
then
Or if it's not, is Vulkan supported by Linux officially?
yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you could
But-
run Dota on like a free Linux distro.
But you already could.
Oh, you could. Oh, then
It was
never mind.
already
Well,
already
it's on
do.
Steam OS.
Well,
Okay.
I mean,
Then
they're
it's OpenGL.
Listen, people want to play Dota 2 on their original EPC. Okay? So, with Vulkan, they could do that.
We, I think it was 2 GDCs ago. Ryan took a little shaky cam video of they did a preview of Dota 2 running on Vulkan. I
Yeah.
think it was Dota 2. It's like
How
one
many
of our,
views?
It's extremely popular. It's got hundreds
Oh.
of thousands of
Oh
views. I
really?
think.
Okay.
I wonder what regions that is the most popular in.
I don't know.
So, and you said that was a couple of GDCs ago?
I think it was 2 years ago.
and it's finally a thing now.
Well, I mean, Vulcan's just like,
Oh, I know.
It's there.
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't GDC. I don't know. It was a while ago.
Let's see. MSI Computex, a peek before the show. Sebastian didn't write this.
No,
It has peek in the title.
but how is it spelled?
PIQUE.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Jeremy, take it away. It's all you.
Yeah, and there is actually quite a bit that they teased.
Yeah?
Of course, as per the pre-Computex tease, they give you almost no information whatsoever, but I'm sure that if Ryan actually does go to the show as opposed to blowing it all on casinos, we'll hear more about them. But they offered a trio of gaming laptops. You got a new Stealth Pro, which is a GS63, which, as you'd expect, is a 6700 HQ in it, and a 970 mobile.
Okay.
We'll see. It's also got a new Cooler Boost Trinity cooling system, which apparently involves 5 heat pipes and a hell of a lot of PR.
Don't forget the Whirlwind blades.
Yes, they're tied in, but separate to the Cooler Boost
It's
Trinity.
like those vibrant luminosity LEDs.
Is the Cooler Boost Trinity the thing we're going to celebrate with the new church?
Yes.
Oh, I like it.
Trinity. We should probably put Trinity in the name. We still need a name. We need a good name.
CRT.
Trinity. There you go.
Just Trinity? No, I think that might be taken by
Well.
actual churches.
Just the word Trinity, nothing else.
Just the religion is called Trinity? That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that
What
was in
about
the movie.
quaternary?
Quadrinary. Google, Googol.
No, it doesn't get sued for that one.
No, that's 100.
I know they probably
Alphabet.
To the 100th.
they probably own that now though.
They can't own that.
They own the whole alphabet.
Oh, they could.
Oh, well. Yeah, they probably. Yeah, they do own Alphabet as well.
Yeah.
Anyway. What else?
They got a very oddly named Titan SLI laptop, which does have SLI, but does not have
It
Titans.
does not have Titans.
You can either get the desktop version 980s or a slightly cheaper 980M dual version, which also supports, if you don't like the 980M, a single desktop GTX 980. So, interesting choices.
So
The GS973 is the skinny boy.
A pair of desktop class 980s in a laptop.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
So, it's a very light laptop.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I would not want
And,
to be a
and the battery
manufacturer.
power is just great on it.
What?
This guy is
Sebastian?
a tiny little one.
I said I would not want to be a manufacturer coming out with new stuff that's been in the works for a while at Computex after the next GPU has already been announced
Yeah,
and
yeah,
will soon
that's
be
true.
shipping.
Yeah. What's
Because
this?
people are going to look at the gaming
980s.
laptops and say, well, what kind of performance could I get from like the mobile 1080 or 1070?
Yeah, but who
It's
knows
gonna
how
be
long
better than
it'll
that.
be before we actually see that.
True. But I would personally hold off if I was buying a gaming laptop.
Oh, you
right
wouldn't
now.
buy a gaming laptop because,
Oh, and then if you want to
Also
look like something out of Half-Life, I guess.
Yeah, this is a
that a
backpack
proton pack?
PC.
Yeah, it's basically a proton pack.
Yep.
Look at that thing.
It's weird. It's got a Core i7 and a 980 in it. I guarantee you there's no battery pack in it because the Marine battery would be a little bit heavy.
Yep.
And still only last you a couple of minutes. But it's for VR. So all of your cords, instead of going to a set desktop, will be going over your shoulders or under your arms.
Wait a minute. They want you to wear this while you're doing... listen. When you first said this, I was like, oh, you can take this to a LAN party very easily.
No.
It's just a backpack PC, right?
No.
They expect you to wear...
First of all, LAN party. Second, no.
What? I mean, the LAN party, right? Like, that would be a thing.
Allyn, what year is it?
No, like, I could... No, listen.
Alan's wearing a
2004?
QuakeCon t-shirt.
I'm talking about, like QuakeCon, you see those poor bastards in the line to get into the BYOC and everything, and they got their computers on, like, a cart that they're rolling around, and Maury's breaking heat sinks, CPU dies and stuff, and everything.
Yeah, but you're not going to buy a backpack PC for once a year.
It's mass hysteria. Think of how cool of a cat you would be just standing in the line with your computer, just like...
Next to the dogs.
Right there.
Together.
Like, yeah, mass hysteria.
So yeah, and so now you'll be flailing around, and the next thing you know, the mains power pops out, and everything goes.
Yeah,
black,
I mean,
and
you would
just go into a coma.
Like VR is
I
VR is kind of hazardous enough. I don't need a computer on my back while I'm messing around in
You
there.
don't want a giant heat source on your back as you flail
too.
around in VR.
Yeah. Now maybe if it was a jetpack,
Oh
might be
no,
different.
but a nice hot, and you do an off-balanced fan, so you're getting a massage while you're doing it.
Oh, I see. I see.
No, I don't know. It's bizarre, but hey, someone's gonna try it sooner or later, and
It was bound
MSI
to
got there
happen.
first.
Maybe it's just
Apart from that,
a laptop, essentially. It's probably just a laptop, essentially.
yeah,
right?
but it's a back top.
like they just seal a laptop into that backpack and call it a day.
Yep. Forget the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what's this last? Aegis gaming desktop.
Yeah, it's just it's a 19.6 liter case with a funky look to it that is a bit reminiscent of, say, NVIDIA's cards, but
It does look. It does look cool.
pretty normal.
Looks like Optimus Prime's head.
Yeah, but compared to the one above it and the one below it, it's pretty normal. Because the Vortex
there's
totally
more?
does not look like a certain... No, it's the little PR that they didn't actually give us a good picture of it, which is kind of suspicious.
Huh.
But the G65 SOI is the old trash can PC.
Yep.
Perfectly round, 6.5 liters, but still has two desktop 9080s in it. And again, the Silent Storm cooling system, which they'll be introducing.
Silent,
With those whirlwind
but
blades.
deadly.
Well, if you stick them in the Vortex, you know it.
And then they released some...
They got a small form factor, which has a mini STX motherboard. So if you haven't heard of that, you're not alone, but it's a 5x5 inch board.
Wait a minute. Where is that?
5x5.
Square up there.
Oh, it's... Okay. So that motherboard is in there. Got it.
What?
Yeah, she's a tiny little thing.
5x5
And one
inch.
nice thing is that the Skylake S in there is not BGA, so you can upgrade it.
Yeah, if you can ever find a Skylake S processor.
Yeah, or if you can get in there and actually install it. And we've also got a trio of motherboards, two X99As, one that is obviously very colorful, and the other is the Titanium series, which is extremely overclockable. And rounding it out is a 170, Z170, which is essentially the same as the X99, just for those of you with that type of processor.
Sweet. So a whole bunch of stuff that Ryan may or may not get pictures of.
Yep.
Ryan's not going to Computex.
Oh, no, he's not. Oh, well. What a waste of a trip to go all the way.
I know, he's gonna
that
miss
was
out on
my
the
point,
backpack.
but though if he's already going to be gone for like 10 days or whatever, that would just be miserable.
Yep. Next. AMD socket AM4 compatible with existing AM2, AM3 coolers. Well, that's good. So if you have a snazzy cooler for your AM3.
Not like a Raid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They haven't confirmed.
I mean, they don't want to change their infrastructure because, one, they don't have a huge amount of market share anymore on a desktop, and two, how many of the cooler companies are going to look at that market share and say, do I really want to redesign this mounting mechanism?
Yeah, I don't think they had much of a choice.
No.
Is it just that it's probably going to be like the same packaging basically as an AM3 Plus? Like, does the CPU itself going to be physically that much different?
Or FM3 or what? FM3 Plus? Is that the latest? I can't remember.
Well, even if like the heat spreader was a different size, like doesn't matter.
No, I mean, everything's going to be the same, Z height.
Yeah.
And you're going to have the same amount of space around the socket, and it's not a huge problem. Intel could have done that with pretty much a lot of theirs, except like the 2011. But
I mean, Intel has done that. Like they haven't changed the cooler mount since
1155, 1151, 1150. It's
yeah,
all
like
the same.
just keep the same hole spacing, and
Yeah.
Yep.
bada bing.
So okay.
I put this on here. I think we all expected this, but it's nice to get some confirmation from a third party.
Yeah, the company didn't confirm. AMD didn't. It was actually Thermalright, and it was like a Facebook post. Somebody asked the question, and Thermalright said, "Yes, we have confirmation from AMD. It'll be the same socket. All of the coolers will work. They will not require an adapter or anything, so it's going to be the same."
Cool.
Yeah, and the best, but isn't the AM4 going to be something like 1,300 pins or insane amount?
Is it?
It's going to be up there. I mean,
Those are going to be very,
more
very
than the
skinny little pins.
941 that they are currently.
And
And it's not even LGA. It's still going to be pins.
More pins, more pleasure.
Here, let me Google.
I didn't even know that was.
you.
I didn't even know that was still a thing anymore.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, all AMD processors are still pins.
Well, they're doing this.
1331.
They're doing this for
So it's
you,
almost
Sebastian.
lead.
They're doing this for you, Sebastian, so that they can.
You can hear those pins bend.
CPU pins were the biggest roadblock to me getting into building PCs years ago. I was terrified of bending them. When I'd see someone else hold one, I'm like, "What are you holding that in your hand?" And then I finally did get one and drop it and bend the pins. So
That's when you get the old Bic ballpoint pen cap.
Yep.
Stick it in there.
I think I was using like a
Straighten it out.
toothpick or something, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It was
a
I
sharp
was
knife,
sweating
scalpel.
profusely.
Yeah.
And then we went from so afraid of bending the pins to what was it?
Cramming them.
I don't remember which version of the Xeon. I had like a couple of Xeons, and to overclock them to like 433 or whatever, you had to do the little take a thread out of a
Oh no!
out of a network cable and make a little U out of it and stick it in the right
Yep.
place on the socket. And the socket had such tight tolerances that you basically had to like jam the Xeon in there. Where you
It
pulled the
wasn't
lever?
zero insert force at that point.
No, it wasn't. It was, and you can just hear like the two little copper just like as you were just like trying to put that in there. It did work though. It was a good overclock.
I
Well, if you got the right sockets.
Yeah.
I put a piece of electrical tape over one of the pads on my Q6600 to unlock the front side bus.
Sweet.
Yeah, it worked really well.
Yeah. You just gotta make sure you got the right pin.
Yeah.
But other than that, and one of those boards Maury sent us, like one of the pins on the socket, like a newer Intel socket. I think like his jacket or just something got caught, and it just bent one pin.
Yeah.
This was months ago, and then Ryan tried to put a CPU in it, and like one of the RAM slots didn't work. And we're like,
Wait a minute.
wait a minute, why is it doing that? And I pulled the CPU out. Sure enough, like one pin was bent and like touching another pin, and then trying to straighten it out, I broke it. And I was like, ooh. And it turns out the pin that it was hitting was the RAM communication. And it was just one of the 100 ground pins that broke off. So I was like, oh, okay, good. Fine.
And they're
Anyway.
dummy pins as well.
Yeah,
There are dummy pins. Of course, I would be not that lucky.
Yeah.
it's not like you can find a pinout or anything.
It was actually hard to find that pin out.
Oh yeah, no, I can't imagine that's very publicized.
Yeah. Okay. Where are we at? Are we done with all the news?
Yeah.
I've got a couple of small
I know,
little
yeah.
things.
Oh, we're yeah, you added that.
Yes. I saw a couple of interesting things. Global Foundries talked about their 22 nanometer FDSOI process. I didn't realize it's not quite ready to go. It's going to be probably this fall of this year when they go into risk production. But I think that the one thing that really struck me is they did talk about how this is pretty good for analog and RF type applications, and they're really pushing it for IoT stuff. So if you design it right and you implement the back bias effectively, you're going to have really, really low idle power consumption as compared to even 14 nanometer FinFET. So that's coming this fall.
Well, that's good.
And the thing that really was kind of interesting to me was the final paragraph that we had talked about this before, but now we kind of have some actual numbers. And they said the labeling of nodes with a minimum dimension is largely moot in the modern era. Upcoming 10 nanometer and 7 nanometer nodes from TSMC will have minimum feature sizes of about 20 nanometers and 14 nanometers respectively, and will be produced on a 32 nanometer or 36 nanometer pitch. So
yeah, it's like an
we've been
equivalent.
talking about how these numbers are now marketing,
Yep.
and these guys actually have some pretty good numbers that back that up. So it's interesting to see. I'm curious where Intel kind of fits into this. I mean, obviously they're smaller than TSMC and GlobalFoundries, Samsung, but how much? And I mean, we're hitting some really interesting physical limitations on size that electrically is making life kind of miserable for a lot of these folks.
Yeah, it's all kind of an equivalent nanometer thing now, right? Because of the layering and
Sorta.
whatnot. Yeah, sorta.
Yeah.
Like
marketing.
yeah, it's kind of a marketing thing too.
Yeah, but it's an interesting article. Probably should have written a little bit something up, but I mean, it's a short one, and then they talked about how the process was developed by IBM and ST Micro kind of championed it, and they had 28 nanometer stuff, except that their fab was like a 5,000 wafer starts a month fab, and you're not going to ship anything in volume with only 5,000 wafer starts a month. I mean, that's pretty low as compared to GlobalFoundries, like their Fab 8 is, I think it's at 35,000 wafer starts a month. It could be higher. But they licensed that out to ST Micro. They showed it off ages ago when 28 nanometers was still a cutting-edge process. Nothing was really done with it. People weren't interested in FDSOI. They thought 20 nanometer planar was going to be good enough. And why did you want to invest in FDSOI? And it turned out that maybe we would have had a little bit better scaling in between then and the 14 and 16 nanometer FinFET products that we have now. But, hindsight being 2020, another thing interesting that they said is that they are going forward with more advanced FDSOI products in the future. So we're going to go below that 22 FDX. Don't know where, don't know how far, but it's certainly a possibility and something that they're aiming for, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then you also got a picture.
I do. Talking about 28 nanometer FDSOI, this is the IMX8 ARM-based processor. What's kind of interesting about it is 28 nanometer. It's going into cars. I don't know if this is just a test structure or something that is actually going to be put in there, but I thought it was really interesting in that they've got the memory on the substrate as well. And instead of being like cell phones, which have the memory oftentimes put in a 3D deal with the chips, where you've got the substrate that attaches to the cell phone, and then the die for the SoC, and then on top of that is a chip of memory. Obviously, with cars, you're not dealing with space limitations. So they put, 2 good chunks of RAM on the substrate. But yeah, people are actually utilizing and building 28 nanometer FDSOI parts, at least for automotive.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that now does it for the news.
Yes.
Hardware software picks of the week. Ryan, is playing like it was off course for a while there. Huh. Interesting.
He's almost about ready to hit some weather.
Yep. Wonder if there's any snakes on his plane.
Probably a lot.
Probably?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, tarantulas.
Yes.
He's dancing?
Yes. He's dancing.
No, that's tarantellas.
Ah, okay.
I see.
Not that he's not necessarily dancing.
Okay. So that's Ryan's pick. Let's see. Who's next?
And the bad thing is
What?
unless you go supersonic,
Yeah.
the 747 is still the fastest commercial airliner that's flying. They go some 50 to 60 knots faster on average than other aircraft like 737 or the 767 or the 777 or any of the Airbus aircraft. It actually hits a higher Mach number. It's like 0.88 instead of 0.86 for the vast majority of aircraft out there. So even if you went on a 787,
Let's look at the speed graph.
he would be flying about 20 knots slower.
His speed is, yep,
450 knots.
around 450 or 500
Yeah,
knots
well,
or so.
unfortunately, where he's at, 450 knots is about the best you get. That's overground, I think, because he's got a
No, he's over ice.
headwind.
Yeah.
The
probably
trade
do.
winds when you go
The
even
direction
when
he's
you
going.
go northerly.
Yep. The direction he's
you're
going, the
heading
wind is against him,
east-west.
I think.
So on the way back, he'll be a little faster.
It's really about the same on the way back when you fly that way.
Really?
Yeah, when I flew to Beijing and back last year, it was actually to Detroit, so it was that same sort of flight path. And it was about the
So
same.
how was flying over the North Pole?
It was quite pleasant. That's the first time I'd gone that way. When I went to Taipei, we went from LA, so it was across the Pacific. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see any polar bears?
No.
Did you wave to Santa?
Oh, duh.
How was the ice extent looking from your altitude?
There's supposed to be ice?
Yeah. It was all gone.
Yeah.
There wasn't any left. Sorry.
Okay.
Jeremy. What you got?
We did it.
You
we
did
made
it?
space great again.
Oh, God.
That was the hashtag for the entire campaign.
I haven't seen this yet. Played this video.
Oh, play it.
Oh, dear.
These freaking nuts have done it again, and they just keep getting better.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I don't... Yeah. Wait a minute. That's the desert. That's not space.
Well, you
We got to start somewhere.
You got to start in a desert to get to space.
Oh, is that how that works?
Did you ever watch 2001?
They start in
Yeah.
a desert? Well, there's no apes
Where's the
dancing.
audio?
Wait a minute. He's got a helmet on. Oh, it said... What, is he a pod racer? Where'd he
It's
go?
everything.
Oh, my goodness. They, took it serious.
He went to space.
This just... crowd kicker. That's awesome. Oh, man. This is funny.
And the best thing is the voiceover is Schwarzenegger, or at least a very good impersonator.
Of course. Well, we don't have volume on this, unfortunately.
Apparently not.
We'd probably get sued anyway.
Oh, the space actually looked pretty good. Huh. Wait a minute.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
What
yeah.
the heck is going on in this video?
Oh.
There's so much crazy crap going on all at the same time. Like, they're being chased by a... What the heck? Oh, man, this is
It's the
great.
seven-bladed lightsaber.
Yes. What on earth?
Take that, Mass Effect.
What the... This
was
guy's got a
sick.
Star Trek...
Bucky.
Is he a red shirt? Nope.
That looked like he was a Bronco.
He was supposed to be in a red shirt if they were going to do that to him.
Oh, not on the Next Generation.
Oh my god, man. What on earth?
It's just another free update.
Oh, no,
for
it's
Goat
not on
Simulator.
Earth. And it gets worse.
It gets worse? Oh, great. Yeah, of course. So, May
Tomorrow.
16th.
Is this
Oh,
another
20
free update?
26th of May. 2016.
They'll probably charge $5 for it like they did for the Payday and the Goat Z. But $5 and it will be silliness. It will make you laugh. It will make you
Who would
cry.
have thought that Goat Simulator would be the gift that keeps on giving?
It really is. And to
By
think
the way,
this
for
was
our
just a
audio
bloody
listeners,
physics
that's the
demo that they put
Goat
on the internet and
Simulator
say, hey,
wasted
look, this is our
space.
physics demo. And everyone's like, here's money. Make more. Make more. Josh? Or is it Al next?
Josh, it's Josh.
Me? What did I do again?
You made a pick.
God only knows.
All right. I need a new whatchamacallit? Receiver. This is last year's model, but now they finally discounted the price to $379. Gives you the Dolby Atmos and DTS-X. Whenever it's updated, you can do a firmware update to your receiver, which makes me kind of excited. I like doing firmware updates to things. seems dangerous, but Denon makes good stuff, solid, got lots of features to it, networking, wireless, 4K pass through, and if you're in the mood for something like this, it's a nice price for a pretty nice product.
Yeah, $379 for an Atmos enabled receiver is really good.
Cool. All right, who's next? Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh crap! I closed the tab. Whoops.
Crap.
So I was playing this game called The Sequence. You guys heard of this?
Nope.
No.
It's like a really interesting and cool puzzle game. The idea is real simple. You're just supposed to get like one dot to another place. There's like a source and a destination, and you have like different tools, I guess, that you kind of add to the grid there. And
Is this just Pipe Dream?
it's kind of Pipe Dream, but it's kind of way crazier than that because there's a bunch of different kinds of modules, and the puzzles get really crazy, like really fast. And there's a bunch of extra things they add in there that, like, things can't run into certain other things, and so like the rules kind of get to you after a while. Because if you look at that, that's pretty busy going on right there. That puzzle. Anyway,
Looks like a hacking mini game.
Kinda, yeah. It's definitely one of those games where you have to like. It's almost like you get to the next puzzle and you just kind of like look at it for like 3 minutes straight before you even put anything anywhere because you're like, oh crap, wait, how do I do this? Okay, so really one of those games that definitely makes you think, which I like, and is $2.
$2 make you holla.
$2 for a nice simple puzzle game. It's also on iOS and I think Android.
Huh. Yeah, that'd be a good mobile game.
Yeah, it is. I ended up getting it on both. Next. Sebastian. Hold on.
I picked, there's a game called Valkyria Chronicles, which came out a few years ago, but they just released a remastered version for PC, and it's ported over to the PS4. And this is actually, I have only played a few minutes of it so far. I've gotten through like the first 3 little chapters. First of all, it looks really cool. It uses what they call their canvas engine, so everything looks like hand-drawn. And that's how the game actually looks.
Oh, but it's animated, hand-drawn.
Yeah, it's hand-drawn, animated. Those are actually like gameplay footage. It's not like cutscenes or anything.
Yeah.
So the whole game looks like this. But what's really interesting is, even though it has an interesting story and everything, the combat itself, as soon as I saw the main turn screen, because it's turn-based, it looks like Risk. Because you're looking top-down at a map. You have little circles representing your guys, and they have little circles representing their guys. And so, like, the very first battle of the game is kind of a teaching battle, and it's 3-on-3. So you pick, one guy, and as soon as you pick a guy to move, it actually switches to first person, kind of over the shoulder, third person view. So you're running around, you take cover, then it's your turn. So you get to like decide what to do, throw a bomb, shoot, whatever. And when your combat is over, then they get their turn. So it's literally like the dice rolling in Risk, and whoever had the best position, whoever got the most shots in, wins the little one-on-one battle, and then you move on. So add all of, that to what's a pretty big, Japanese RPG type story with very high quality animation that's like you're watching an anime. It's a really interesting idea. Like Sega came out of nowhere with this thing a few years ago, and it is very... It's not really like anything else I've ever played. It's very cool. It's worth the $20 for sure. Like it's for PS3 and Steam, it's $20, and for PS4, it's $30. That's full price. And this goes on sale. It was on sale a couple weeks ago for half off on Steam, I think. So
cool. And it's been out
soon.
It's been out for like a couple of years.
Yeah, the remastered version is what's new.
Yeah.
Like it just came out on PS4 like in May, but it's been on Steam for a little while. The PS4 version is basically a Steam, like the PC port. So it's higher resolution. The original game played in 720. This is full 1080.
Cool.
And these are the same guys that did War Machine Tactics. So
are they?
The developers behind it. So they've taken a tabletop game and turned it into an actual video game. So they've got some experience with the combat systems. I don't think it's going to disappoint you. I know it's on my wish list. I haven't picked it up because I've heard there's a sale coming up soon.
Ah, okay, good to know.
Cool. And that's it for the picks. All right. Again, PCPro.com/podcast. If you wanted to check on something that we talked about, we got the show notes up there, or we will have them up there. Twitter.com/Ryan Trout. If you want to talk to him while he's not going to get your tweets, maybe in some other country that might block them. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So he may or may not have internet that's worth a crap as far as actually getting to anything United States bound. Twitter.com/PCPer. And anything else before we go, guys?
Nothing here.
No?
Nope.
No?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with us.
Yeah? Sorry. We don't have Ryan's awesome energy, which is right now he's probably sleeping on a plane or something.
Yeah.
So he has no energy either.
Yeah, he hasn't been yelling at us, so he's probably sleeping.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's got a comfortable seat.
Or he
Asshole.
has no internet.
He's the 1%.
He should have internet until he gets over China.
Yeah.
If he's the 1%, wouldn't he always have internet?
Yeah, but he's not the Chinese 1%.
Oh, okay.
They're a
I don't know.
different breed.
They just barely skirted around North Korea. Pretty funny.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Yes. They'll shoot
They
you
might
down.
throw things at you.
All right. Well, I guess I'll wrap it up then before it gets even further off the rails.
Yes.
All right.
I'm Alan Malmontano.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Sebastian Peak.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you next week.
If you enjoyed this content, consider supporting in-depth technical content by contributing at patreon.com/PCPer.